I'm Karen Coltrane, and as you can see, I have some life experience, so my introduction is more past than future. Yet I feel like I'm just getting started. Maybe that's because I work in a children's museum, where I can step out of my office and see excited little people. Ironically, my actual work doesn't even involve children. I spend my time convincing industry and government leaders to invest in early childhood education and informal learning. Because research shows that if children start school ready to learn, and they regularly experience the intrinsic joy of learning, they are more likely to become lifelong learners. So I figured I ought to model lifelong learning myself, and in January, I enrolled in the Citadel's Master of Science in Leadership program. This is my 5th class, and I'm excited to take it. Prior to being a nonprofit CEO, I served several organizations as their chief communications person. Not everyone can say they were the spokesperson for our nation's tugboat, towboat, and barge industry. Not everyone probably wants to. But since I was a communications practitioner, I'm really looking forward to actually learning in this class how to do it right. My odd career started at Busch Gardens, a theme park in Williamsburg, Virginia, where I worked my way through the College of William and Mary as a retail supervisor. I grew up in neighboring Yorktown, Virginia, the daughter and granddaughter of newspaper reporters. But my dad talked me out of the family business to avoid starvation, so I majored in economics, married a real cute guy I worked with at Busch Gardens, and we both went to work for banks. He liked it, I hated it, but a volunteer assignment at United Way gave me nonprofit fever, so I went back to William and Mary, this time as a development staff member. And after years of traveling asking alumni for money, I decided to take an easy little job at the local hospital hosting charity golf tournaments so I could pursue motherhood. Motherhood worked out as planned, the easy little job not so much. Despite being hired by one CEO, I started orientation with a new one. Thank goodness we hit it off. But when I told him I was hired to fundraise, he said, "We don't need that. Can you be our chief spokesperson and run community relations instead?" A few months pregnant and really needing my job, I assured him I could. After watching my dad interview people for years, I had seen spokespeople who were excellent and some who were cringeworthy. I decided to try to mimic the former and avoid being the latter. So I went to work crafting messages to calm our community that was so concerned about losing their independent hospital. While it was great fun most days, it was also annoying to be stopped in the grocery store and scolded by old people who preferred things the way they used to be. That came under the community relations part of the job. Anyway, after one particularly long day, I went upstairs to the maternity department and had my son Sam on his father's and great-grandfather's shared birthday. I may have not gone into the newspaper business, but I did hit my deadline. My husband's work took us to D.C. a few years later, and I enjoyed that, especially professionally. The tugboat and barge guys I mentioned earlier hired me because they liked my crisis communications experience, and they believed they could teach me the federal advocacy piece. I loved that. I got to write congressional testimony, design their first website and industry image campaign, and even pilot a tugboat up for a few moments on the Mississippi. But the purpose of that work never spoke to me. We weren't educating or saving lives, we were moving coal and timber. And those are important tasks, but just not my thing. So I went to work for a DC fundraising and PR consultant, which I really loved. And just when that was getting fun, my husband takes a job 2 hours away in Richmond. I tried commuting, but too much time away from my second grader made us both sad. So I moved to Richmond too and ended up at the Children's Museum. It was in financial trouble after opening a big new building, and the board was looking for a fundraiser to turn it around. As CEO, I could flex my schedule and make it to most of Sam's football, baseball, and basketball games, and still manage to expand the museum to become the 8th most visited in the nation. While I was busy growing that, Sam was growing up. And then he left us and headed to the College of Charleston. And then I got a call to lead Adventure, the largest children's museum in the Southeast in Columbia, South Carolina. This time my husband agreed to commute north via JetBlue, so we make it work. I get to be near our son, and so does he, and I get to also be the chief cheerleader for an amazing organization. So that's me, and I look forward to meeting all of you.